Dynasty talk. That's what people are saying. Dynasty is what people believe. Are the Chiefs officially a dynasty?
What does it take to truly cement your legacy among the game's all-time greats? The Joe Montana-led San Francisco 49ers? The Steel Curtain of the 1970s? Tom Brady and the 6 Super Bowls he won with the New England Patriots? Each certainly holds its place at the very top, each identified by its own unique attributes: Hall of Fame coaches, legendary quarterbacks, and elite defenses. A thrilling cast assembled to create greatness. And now, in 2024, the Kansas City Chiefs will embark on a mission that no other team has ever managed to complete. The greatest players have all won multiple Super Bowls, but to achieve 3 consecutive victories, it's never been done before in the Super Bowl era. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and the dynasty that has already been etched into history could take it a step further and stand alone as the only franchise to achieve such a feat. Challenge accepted. In 2016, the Kansas City Chiefs were just another franchise. After peaking too early by winning the Super Bowl in 1969, the Chiefs had gone almost a half a century without making it back to the big game. Heading into the 2017 draft, though, Dorsey and Veach decided that Smith's game manager style would keep the Chiefs from taking the next step, and shocked the league by drafting Patrick Mahomes with a 10th overall pick. While they didn't yet know it, this decision would alter the path of the Kansas City Chiefs forever. Smith was awarded 1 more year as a starter, with Mahomes waiting and learning in the wings. A 10-6 record and wildcard loss wouldn't be enough for Smith to keep his job, though, and Andy Reid finally allowed Mahomes to take the reins ahead of the 2018 season. And while Mahomes was a talented prospect coming out of Texas Tech, no one could have foreseen just how dominant he was in his de facto rookie season. Mahomes set the precedent for what was to come early, throwing for 6 touchdowns and 326 yards in just his 3rd ever game as a pro. Soon, teams realized Mahomes had already adjusted to the NFL, and now it was time for the NFL to adjust to Patrick Mahomes. Whatever defensive schemes they might have created certainly did not work, as the Chiefs averaged over 35 points per game on the season, and Mahomes threw for over 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns en route to being named the league MVP. Unfortunately, after an easy divisional round win, the Chiefs fell just short in an overtime loss to Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game. And while the Chiefs couldn't go the distance in 2018, the team had one of its most successful seasons in decades, and anything now felt possible with the new face of the league as their signal caller. In 2019, Kansas City had only one goal: get back to the Super Bowl. The season started mostly smoothly, but disaster struck when Mahomes suffered a brutal leg injury on a quarterback sneak against the Denver Broncos in Week 7. After missing a few weeks, Mahomes miraculously got back onto the field, and the Chiefs picked up right where they left off, winning 6 straight games to close out the regular season. Despite a couple of scares in the playoffs, the Chiefs made it to their first Super Bowl since 1969, and after trailing 20-10 late to the 49ers, despite their long history as one of the founding fathers of the NFL, Kansas City was facing a drought as bad as any in the league, and its general manager John Dorsey and assistant Brett Veach's job to drag them out of their endless misery. Unlike most teams in a drought, the Chiefs had actually been pretty successful, posting a winning record in 4 straight seasons and accumulating multiple playoff berths with Alex Smith at the helm. The roster around Smith was loaded, with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce headlining one of the most successful offenses in the league. A clutch Patrick Mahomes touchdown pass gave the Kansas City Chiefs a lead with 2 minutes and 44 seconds remaining, and that was all she wrote. At just 24 years old, Patrick Mahomes had brought Kansas City their long-awaited 2nd Super Bowl in just his 2nd season as a starting quarterback. The MVP in the Red 15 was just getting started, and the league would quickly realize just how impactful he was about to be. 2020 was more of the same, and Mahomes looked more untouchable than ever. In 15 games as a starter, Patrick went 14-1 with an easy 4,700 yards and 38 touchdowns, as Kansas City was able to rest their talent in Week 17 while claiming a first-round bye. Once again, the Chiefs made their way back to the Super Bowl with little drama, this time set to face Tom Brady in his first season as a Buccaneer. Ultimately, Mahomes and the Chiefs struggled, but not for lack of trying. With such poor protection up front, Mahomes was chased all over the field throughout the course of the game, and Tampa Bay prevailed off the back of their dominant pass rush. The 2020 offseason following their Super Bowl loss gave Brett Veach, who became the general manager shortly after Dorsey selected Mahomes, a chance to retool the offense. The Chiefs completely overhauled the offensive line, bringing in Joe Thuney and Orlando Brown from free agency, while drafting Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, who both immediately took starting roles. Regardless of all this, the season got off to a tumultuous start in 2021. Mahomes and the Chiefs did right this ship and get to a 12-5 regular season record, but ultimately fell short in the playoffs once again, this time to Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship game. In the 2021 offseason, doubt from the public started to creep in about whether Mahomes would ever be able to reach the heights of his early career, and it was clear that a big change was needed. Naturally, you would think that the Chiefs would have to add to Mahomes' cast in order to improve, so it came as an enormous shock when Veach and Reid traded star wideout Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins. The doubt thickened, with the media instantly jumping on the fact that Kansas City's reign might be over and Mahomes may never be the same player again. And yet, Mahomes proved exactly why he's the best player in the NFL. Without his best receiver, Mahomes earned his second MVP award of his career and another Super Bowl title, this time over Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles in the 2022 season. With Kansas City back on top of the football world, Operation Run It Back ensued. The Chiefs got off to a hot start, but struggled after the bye, losing games to the Eagles, Packers, Bills, and Raiders over the span of 6 weeks. But Mahomes has proven that all he has to do is get into the playoffs, and he has a better chance than anyone, and that's exactly what happened. It was the ugliest regular season Mahomes and the Chiefs have had since he took over as the franchise quarterback, and somehow they weren't done yet. After dramatic wins over the Bills and Ravens, the Chiefs were back in the Super Bowl for the 4th time in 6 seasons, and they were set to rematch against the San Francisco 49ers. The team that looked desperately lost at points during the season had somehow found its way back into the big game. Prepped and ready to defend their title. In one of the most exciting Super Bowls in history, Mahomes led the Chiefs to a game-winning drive in overtime, capping it all off with a walk-off touchdown pass to Mecole Hardman. Kansas City had gone back-to-back. Mahomes had won its 3rd Super Bowl, and the Chiefs dynasty looked stronger than it ever had before. Patrick Mahomes is by far the best player in the NFL, and you can certainly make an argument for him being the best player in professional football history. By the time his career is over, this might not be a statement that even comes with a question mark. But now heading into 2024, the discussion that has everybody talking is whether this Chiefs franchise can pull off the amazing three-peat. The Kansas City Chiefs became the first team to win back-to-back championships since the Patriots did in 2003 and 2004, but no team in the Super Bowl era has ever accomplished 3 Lombardis in a row.
We might have to really call that GOAT thing into discussion.
Right.
Because it'll be the first time in the history of the game that somebody is three-peat.
In order for the Chiefs to get back to the Super Bowl, the first thing they had to do was re-sign Chris Jones. He missed several games at the start of the 2023 campaign due to contract disputes and proved his worth by leading the Kansas City defense once again as the Chiefs won another title. Jones finally got what he deserved when Veach signed him to a 5-year deal worth up to $160 million, with $95 million guaranteed over the first 3 seasons. A Mahomes contract restructure freed up $21 million toward Jones' deal in 2024, as well as several key free agent additions from the Chiefs. Marquise Brown also signed with Kansas City to bring some much-needed help in the wide receiver room. Derek Nandi, on a lesser-known but valuable part of the interior defensive line, re-signed on a new deal. The Chiefs opened their 2024 draft class by trading up to select Xavier Worthy, whose record-setting 4.21 speed is going to be a huge asset for Andy Reid to work with, and is reminiscent of Tyreek Hill in a lot of ways. Worthy isn't just a burner though. As one of the most talented route runners in the class, he can get open completely on his own. One of the main criticisms of this roster over the past few seasons has been the lack of offensive firepower and the speed on offense, and it's shown through a great reduction in the effectiveness of the deep ball from Mahomes. One of the greatest things about having someone with Worthy's caliber of speed is that it not only creates opportunity for explosive plays, but it also stretches the defense and opens up holes for other players to exploit, making him a massive contributor even when the ball isn't in his hands. Travis Kelce is going to love it. With their 2nd round pick, Veach added Kingsley Sumo-Ataya, who has the potential to become a home run pick with the ability to play at either tackle spot. As an elite athlete, even reportedly notching 21.5 miles per hour speeds as a 318-pound freshman, Sumo-Ataya has incredibly high upside and just needs to hone in on technique. If everything remains on track, he should be able to contend for a starting role this season, and if he ends up sitting on the bench for now, he's just 21 years old and has plenty of time to develop and get on the field. These are the exact kind of picks that can make a huge benefit this season, and in the future, Mahomes clearly thought so too, tweeting, "I love Veach, man." A lot of things have gone right for the Chiefs. Their offseason hasn't quite been perfect either. Losing L'Jarius Sneed to the Titans is tough. At least Trent McDuffie is ready and able to take the cornerback 1 spot, but Sneed was so valuable to that defense over the past 4 seasons, and the Chiefs really didn't make any big moves to fill in his absence. Another obvious issue is the Rashee Rice situation. After having an extremely promising rookie season, Rice's year 2 could not have been set up for more success with Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy poised to remove a ton of the pressure on him as a top wideout. Instead, the offseason could not have possibly gone worse for Rice, who was recklessly driving and caused a 6-vehicle crash on a Dallas highway. Rice is now facing multiple lawsuits from the victims of the crash and what could potentially be a huge league suspension for his misconduct down the road. And even if Rice does miss some time, hopefully he won't have any problems getting back into his form upon his return. We likely won't know much more about the Rashee Rice situation for some time, just based on how long it's taken the legal system and the league to process these type of cases in the past. In more positive news, however, the Chiefs no longer have to worry about Travis Kelce becoming an unrestricted free agent following the 2024 season, with reports coming out that Kelce had signed a 2-year extension to make him the highest paid at his position in the league. Any year could realistically be the last run for Kelce, who's experienced as much success as anyone in the NFL, but the 2-year extension does at least provide some assurance that this might not be his last go around. So with all that being said, the Kansas City Chiefs have had a very solid offseason and have resolved almost all of their biggest impending issues in the aftermath of their most recent Super Bowl win. That's not to say there aren't any holes, because there are. Kansas City's secondary is going to get tested this year without Sneed, who was able to erase opposing star wideouts off the field almost every single game. The unfortunate part about the amassing sheer talent of the roster that Brett Veach has constructed is that you can't pay everyone, and Sneed was just a less important piece than Jones and Kelce, who also needed contracts. It's also true that the AFC is stacked once again, with emerging super teams like the Texans stockpiling weapons in an attempt to rival the Chiefs come January. The road to the three-peat is going to be long and difficult, but the Chiefs have largely persevered their battle-tested core and bring a lot of continuity into the new year. The Chiefs have improved as a roster, but most importantly, Mahomes is still the quarterback. Dreams of a three-peat are alive and well in Kansas City, and they may not just be dreams for long. If they pull it off, they'll be the greatest dynasty in NFL history.